Lake Superior is a big freshwater bathtub. In fact, it's the largest on Earth. If you took all the water out of this lake and spread it out over the North and South American continents, that water would be a foot deep. But any bathtub, even a bathtub this big, will overflow if you keep filling it up. Picture your bathtub. Even filling it up with a thimble, it will eventually pour over the sides. But instead of overflowing, at its lowest point, the bathtub has a drain. The water flows out of this drain. Down in the southeast corner of Lake Superior, there is a drain to this giant bathtub. That drain is the St. Mary's River. Thousands of years ago, the melting ice from the glaciers originally filled this bathtub, this giant bathtub of Lake Superior. Since then, the circle of rivers around Lake Superior have been trickling in, pouring in, flooding in, and filling Lake Superior. Inch by inch, especially in the spring, the water rises in the lake. That is when the St. Mary's River flows its swiftest. For thousands of years, these rivers have been filling the Great Lake Superior bathtub. And for thousands of years, the waters have been flowing down the St. Mary's River drain, on out to the rest of the Great Lakes, and eventually the Atlantic Ocean. This is part of the never-ending cycle of the rivers that flow into Lake Superior and only one flowing out, the St. Mary's River.
Another way to think about the lake and the watershed is that Lake Superior is like the heart. It's pumping water up into the air, and this water comes down as precipitation or rain up in the watershed, and then it flows down the rivers back to the heart like veins would. One of the ways that we can see how the lake is actually pumping water into the air is by looking at one of these. So this is a barometer, and it shows 80% humidity. So it's representing the moisture that's in the air from evaporation. This is what I'm talking about when I say Lake Superior's pumping the water up into the watershed. And lots of plants and animals use that water, and eventually it'll flow into a river, and that vein will bring it back to the heart. And that habitat is such a special place because it is a zone where there's both aquatic and land animals. You get birds as well. And the other neat thing about that is that that water is then pulling sediment and other things down the river, like this log that I'm sitting on. Every time you cross a bridge, every time you visit a waterfall, or even paddle down the river, I want you to think about how many rivers and how much water that really contains. All within the Lake Superior watershed. These are the veins flowing back into a lake that holds water for 191 years. One drop of water, it would take 191 years before it went through the St. Mary's River. The Lake Superior watershed is very connected. And you can think of it like a bathtub, or you can think of it like a heart, where it's pumping up water into the air, and it's in that cycle of coming back down into the rivers or the veins, flowing back.
You can think of the Lake Superior watershed as a bathtub, you can think of it as a heart, or you can think of it as a journey, with each river carving their own way and taking their own route to Lake Superior. There is a retention time once they get there, and they'll stay in the lake in one way or the other for 191 years before they take on a new journey heading out through the St. Mary's River.